Five, 4, 3, 2. What's going on, folks?
Welcome
back to another episode of the Chronicles of J123, the Precursor. We calling this the Reboot episode. All right, so you know when you gotta start your computer over, it's a time where it shuts down, right? And if y'all watched the last episode, y'all saw or y'all heard the story of how
you didn't tell them
we had this.
Were.
If y'all don't know who I am by now,
but you didn't introduce.
But I'll say my name again, just for everybody who's watching that might be new. I'm Jarrell T.G.
And I'm Jasmine Nicole.
Yeah. So as I was saying, if you didn't watch the last 3 episodes and you just happen to fall in on episode 4, please go back and watch the beginning because this is a story that we're telling. And we dropped it all together because we wanted to give y'all the whole story and not make you wait. We didn't want people to come in the middle and be like, oh man, I don't feel like going back. So go
binge content.
Just binge worthy content, okay? That's what we're doing right now. So we call this episode the Reboot because, you know, when you shut down a computer, when they got a reboot, it's a time where it's shut down and then slowly it starts to come back on. So we're going to talk about the time where it was shut down. In the last episode was where we broke up, had our last encounters of quote unquote part 1 of our relationship, and we go into a season of singlehood, right? And I think both of our seasons looked different. Some similarities, definitely some differences. So we're going to get into that today. But before we do that, as y'all know, we're going to give y'all that theme song. So,
what you feeling?
I'm thinking some like let's do like some like country rock, like.
I don't even know it.
But down. Now that's like funk. I like funk better because that just came to my head. That riff came to my head, but it probably came from some countryness. But like that riff was like real funky. But down. The Chronicles. This is the Chronicles. Hey, this the Chronicles. This is the Chronicles. This is the Chronicles. This is the Chronicles.
The Chronicles.
This is the Chronicles.
The Chronic.
This is the Chronicles. Yeah.
The Chronicle.
Yeah. That was cool. I like that one. That was nice. Get the energy going.
Get it going.
Yeah. All right, man. So, gonna get right into our first segment. We call it Who Said It? Now, as we said before, the game goes like this. One of us says a line from either a movie or a song, and the other person has to guess who said it and where they said it, where this particular quote is from. Whoever gets both gets a BS fact check point to be used later on in the episode. I ain't even gonna give y'all like a long spiel because y'all been with us. Y'all the fam. If y'all got the episode 4, man, shout out to you. Shout out to you for just investing in this love story because it's going to come to a climax.
Do you guys like it? Let us know. Do you like it?
It's the Precursor. So this is only the beginning of the beginning. Like, what came before the beginning? We ain't even hit the beginning yet. It's just happening. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be chronologizing for a long time.
Click around that clock. Anyways, I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can go first. I always let you go first.
Simple. And blue could you to find the way back to the big old blue.
That's definitely Finding Nemo.
It was the character.
The big turtle. Yeah. Squirt Dad.
Yeah.
That was easy. All right, here we go. Confused, bewildered, lethargic.
See, you gonna be mad because I know this quote because you do it all the time, but I still don't know what it's from. Like Friday.
Nope. And I'm gonna give you a second guess, just because you be throwing guess out early, you don't even really think.
You not gonna give me no more?
No, you just gave me the quote, and I guess that's the game.
You do this all the time.
That's the game, bro. And I know you've seen this movie before.
Yeah. Deliver us from evil.
Very close. That was very close.
Okay.
That was very close. And to be honest, I feel like I think I just did like a telepathic thing just now because, like, I thought "Deliver Us from Evil" in my head, and I think that's what you pulled it from. I think that's what you pulled it from.
So what was it in real life?
That's what you pulled it from. It's actually two can play that game.
Who said it though?
That was Morris Chestnut and Anthony Anderson scene.
Oh yeah, no.
Where he was kind of giving him the game, and then he was kind of spewing the game back to him. So. Yeah.
I saw the movie a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Shantae, ain't that the same movie?
Shantae. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah. So yeah, you ready to? I got that checkpoint. I got that fact point.
You won.
And we can go ahead and get into this episode. So
the reboot.
We're going to talk about today, like our time when we were not together. So, and like I said, some of it was.
Hey, wait. Before we could redo this again. Do you want to get what is Zavi gonna do?
Okay, so we are going to get into, like I said, our time apart. We're going to kind of break down some of the growth things that was taking place during that time, and we'll see where that leads us. What do you think? All right, so we break up. Let's just looking at just like
get kind of like a time frame.
So that's what I was trying to figure out. That's what I was trying to figure out. So like maybe we're looking at like July. That was our last time meeting. Was in like July-ish.
So we officially broke up
in March.
It was like the very end of March because it was actually April Fool's. It was like
Sunday.
April 1st.
That Sunday was April 1st, yeah.
So it was the absolute last of March, April Fool's. And, haha.
Joke's on you.
So we ended then, and then now we're, you said go to when? Like,
so yeah,
we
so then.
Tried in July.
That was the last time we saw each other in July. Well, the last time that we spoke.
We talked, called ourselves hashing it out, whatever.
Yeah, so what did it look like for you? Like.
So then, because my life, okay, so we end. Now, at this point, I'm settling into, we're done. So now I'm trying to find myself again and, like, find what I like aside from him. My singleness, that's what I'm doing. And getting in touch again with, like, the things that I love, the things that I enjoy. So doing that stuff, but then so I was spending a lot of time with God, like a rock of time with God. Like really, it was me and God for a long time. And like, it was a really quiet time. Like, cause I moved with my mom. So it's just the two of us, and she kind of keep a quiet house. So it was a lot of just me and God, literally, and working on that, asking God to tell me about myself, and then really trying to figure out about this relationship. Because, of course, at some point, then I started reflecting about stuff, and I'm like, it wasn't that bad. Like, I do kind of miss him. And then, so kind of switch gears. Then I got a job where I was required to still go and see him just about like every day. How did that happen? So I'm no longer, he's still a teacher, and then I get another job basically picking up the aftercare kids from his school. So I'm still like every day end up seeing him just in passing. We're not cool. But let's speak about the very first time you actually, do you remember that?
When you spoke.
Yeah. So we hit. Okay, so this is still our single time or whatever. But a part of it is me getting this job and still now having to see him like
And when I tell y'all, like, the first couple of times, it was like, I didn't. Like, that's how I was carrying it. Like, I don't see you. I do see you, but I don't see you. Like, that's how I was going.
Also, before we get there, before that, like, I don't feel attached to him anymore. I mean, not attached, but like, I don't have any romantic feelings for him for real. But at the same time, I don't have any of the bitterness and all that. I'm kind of over that. I'm more so working towards some healthy growth or whatever, trying to figure out why we actually dissolved and like trying to figure out my part of it. All of that stuff. So I'm honing in on a healthy path, healthy journey. And then I started seeing him every day and like subtly it was in the back of my head, just like the first time and all the times before. But I wonder if we could get back together. But no, like I'm telling you, it was so far. But me seeing him, it did remind me that there was back there. I'll just say it like that. So, me going. Okay, so me going to pick up the kids from aftercare, me having to see him, and the first time, like, we're not talking to each other. Like, we don't even acknowledge. I tried to acknowledge him, though. I'll say that. So I see him. He's obviously there. Like, you see me seeing you. Like, okay, so let's not do this. Let's just at least, like, what's up? And that's what I was trying to do. It didn't work. Like, he would look at me and, like, immediately, like, dog, calm down. I'm just trying to say what's up. Like, I don't want anything from you. Like, I'm just trying to be cordial because I got to pick up the kids in your class. Like,
facts.
I literally have to come to you because he's the lead teacher.
Two of my students.
So I literally have to go to you, get these kids from your care, and I'm not even going to speak to you. So at least I was trying what's up with him, but he wasn't having it. But then there was this one day, I don't know what led him. Am I going too fast?
We stopped there because
okay.
That's yours. This is so, because that was later, right? That was like
when you later. Actually
that was like that was way later. That was
probably
end of 2020. Later. No, end of 2019. No,
it wasn't way later.
It had to be. It was a while.
Oh, because then we did text one time before too.
Maybe.
I guess we should have rehearsed this before we.
No, whatever. Y'all get what we giving. Like, don't whatever. It's all love, but like I said, this is authentic. We're pulling from like real places. But so you'll stop there. So all the while, like I said, I'm detached emotionally at this point. I won't say the emotions were gone, but I definitely detached myself from them. And it's funny because, once again, when we talk about the environment of being a black man in the school, like, this was premier news. Like, oh, Jarrell is no longer with the person that we know. She wasn't working there anymore, but Jarrell not with her.
They knew that he had a girlfriend
at the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was just like, well, whatever. Like, so you know how guys do. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm back on the market now. Like, what's poppin'? And got close to somebody else. Like, but it was really more so what I realized at the end. It was really like that, kind of like security blanket. But when I thought I was detached from the emotions, it was like a hole. And that was like probably the most difficult part to get over. Like that hole there. And so you try, as a guy, we try to fill that hole with like quantity, or, try to match that to try to find something else. And it was a very eye-opening experience, like, for me. Like, that whole...
Trying to fill the hole with other...
Trying to fill the hole was, like... Because I went through, like, 2 different stages. Like, I went through the first stage because, like, I was seeing, like, I didn't hop back on the scene, like, on top, like, on moving around like that, you know. That was more or less, like, that was when, like, we had got close or whatever. And so, I feel like first I went to the replace to try to feel better. Mm-hmm. And in and of itself, you know, like, any type of, like, intimate, close relationship is going to reveal stuff about you. Like, that's Bible. Like, that's, like, it's going to reveal stuff. So it's like, all I did was put myself in a situation to now the things that was displayed in our relationship was redisplayed again. But now I'm like,
happening
yo.
in a different circumstance, and it's the same thing.
Bruh, literally the same thing, but different, like, but it's presented itself differently because, as you know, like, everybody's different, so then who you are with a particular person is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? You play a different role in a relationship. So, in that connection, I played a different role because the responses I was getting was different. So, like, with you, like, how we learn, like, attachment styles and stuff. So, like, with you, I'm the more anxious attachment, if to claim one. Like, we're a lot more healthily attached at this point. But I feel like in that relationship, I was a little bit more, like, of the avoiding attachment. Because I think in real life, like, I was still, like missing you. You know what I mean? I think I still had you, like, in the back of my head, and I couldn't even engage with you because it's like...
That's why you had become the avoidant.
She does not exist because I'm still super hurt by the whole situation, whatever it was that happened, all that happened, how I felt about it, how the responses was. We went through that whole story. So I think, like, I became the avoidant attachment and I became super emotionally unavailable, but at the same time, I was trying to fill that hole. So that's a weird space to be in. And, like, I got a lot of...
Also not healthy.
Right, not healthy at all. And then it was like, it was also a new experience for me because, like, that was the first time dating somebody with a kid. So it was like, that was a whole... Like, seriously dating somebody with a kid, like, that was a whole development process that had to happen, and then it was a lot going on, guys. Like, but like I said, it was in its own way still
growing
me. You know what I'm saying? Still giving me opportunity to really see who I was trying to be. Like, I gotta tell this story. This is crazy. So, like, when I feel like it was almost like a situation where I was intrigued by my own growth in that relationship that made me, like, intrigued by it. Not to say, like, she was a dope individual. You know, everybody got their own problems, so I'm not putting, like, nothing on her specifically. It was more of a self-reflective experience. And it was, like, the first real, like, connect type of situation. She had called me an F-boy. Now, if y'all don't know, like, what that means, like, from a person who has, like, childhood, like, constructs of perfection and, like, you know, all of that, for somebody to go, boy, like your energy,
Basic,
like the energy
average.
that you giving off is this. I do see that is a mask, and that's probably based off of probably the healing that you still got to do, and, you know, ego driven and all this other stuff. But it is what it is. Like, this is the energy that you're emitting to the atmosphere. Like, and I was just like, And now normally that type of conversation, that type of response from somebody will yield a lot of logical dissertations, as I said, a lot of I'm going to give my side. You know, we're now in the court of law, and I'm litigating.
All the reasons
you know
why
what I'm saying? But it really humbled me. Like, I was like, wow. And it's like, it was said so bluntly that I couldn't avoid it. But at the same time, the subsequent explanation that came with it made me go, wow. And like, that day kind of shifted what I really, like, that internal battle at that point. Because it's like, you know, behavior, like energy, like that stuff doesn't just die. Like, people talk about like alcoholism, like drug abuse, all of that. Like, when you have a behavior or like an addiction that has become a part of you, like, it doesn't just die. Like, that's an active process. Mm-hmm. It does definitely start with the renewing of your heart, of course. But after that happens, that means now I need to work from that space. Mm-hmm. I need to work from the space of renewed. I need to work from the space that's transformed. But you still got the wounds, and you got the insecurities, and you got the traumatic responses that will still allow you to be in those behaviors, even if on the inside you change. So it was a process, but I feel like that was like a premier moment.
The mirror.
That put that mirror up and made me go,
wow, let me humble.
Mm-hmm. And so going through that process, as I said, it was long. And then of course we hit the pandemic right after that. And it was just like, the world got so small, and you gotta keep your circle tight. We didn't know what was going on. It was just, the world changed. But that was a pivotal moment because that refocused me in a lot of different ways, man. Like, oh, go ahead.
I was sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But my refocusing moment happened like that. It didn't happen like that, no. But I did have a refocusing moment, and my main thing that I was trying to refocus on and had to get renewed to was my purpose, my identity, because I had kind of wrapped myself in us and our relationship, and then put on the front, like after we broke up, put on the front like, nigga, ooh, I said nigga, put on the front like he ain't mean nothing. But
we're gonna break through her. We're gonna break through the face by the time.
Anyways, so then I put on a little face like he ain't mean nothing, but the whole time he did. So I had to have that moment when it actually happened. It was me realizing that I had wrapped so much into like all like the relationship, and then I had, so now that the relationship is no longer, it's like, okay, well, what I had to be reminded of the things that I loved before, the things that I knew I was passionate about, the things that I knew I wanted for my future and all of that stuff. I had to be reminded of my purpose. And in me being reminded of my purpose, Jarrell was still, he was in the very, very back of my mind, but I was doing this personal healing. So I had eventually got to a point where I felt like, okay, this is good enough. And I tried to dibble dabble and talk to people. Not so much. It wasn't good. I didn't really entertain them too long because it wasn't good. And then there was one that I tried to entertain, and it was bad. It wasn't good. And then God, the way God works, like, it's crazy because He did not allow Jarrell to really get off of my mind. So even during this part while we're separate, we're not talking to, like, not texting, not talking, whatever. And it had been a while now because we're into like past the summer. So you said like almost the end of. Oh, we into 2020.
By that time, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely into 2020
because we wasn't at the school.
And we wasn't seeing each other at that point either because schools had shut down. So I wasn't doing the aftercare thing. So we wasn't seeing each other at all. What was I saying?
Then, like, but you were saying like you got in that space and then you was like you tried to talk to people and
oh yeah, and then it didn't work because it wasn't supposed to work. That's the real reason. It didn't work because it wasn't supposed to work. But Jarrell was still in the back of my head, even though I didn't want him there. He was there because I was dreaming and having dreams with him as my guy. Like in the dreams, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm like, this is dumb because we're not even together. I ain't even talking to him. Like for real, I don't even got none of them type feelings towards him no more. Like whatever. But he was still I was still having these dreams. And yeah, it was a reason for it.
And then and so subsequently, she tried to replace me with a imposter of
it ended up turning out, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that tried to do the same thing. And so after I had my moment, you know, in that situation, and that it lasted for like a good little bit of time or whatever. But it was like then I got to the place to whereas okay, there was healing done, but now there's more damage being done on the other hand. So it was like, all right, but I'm wise enough to begin to notice or begin to understand like a lot of pain went into that relationship and came out of that relationship, but a lot of healing happened at the same time. And it was fortunate and unfortunate all in the same because I feel like unfortunate for both of us because she just had like I said some unresolved issues that she was still working through, and I definitely have issues, so we're bringing them issues into the situation, and it was just like, but once again, it was everything happens for a reason, everything works for the good, so it definitely wasn't supposed to work. You know, but
it was still lessons learned.
It still was a lot of lessons learned. And so then I came out of that, and it was just like, all right, I'm about to just really just do me. Like, and I've been saying that my whole life. I like companionship and like having that person there. God made me that way, and I had to learn that, you know, because that's not what black men is fed. Like, we not supposed to want that. We supposed to want the streets or whatever, and then when we find a girl that's worth giving the streets up, then we go that way. Like, but it's not really glorified to actually just want that. Like, you know what I mean? And we search for that in different ways. Especially when we're unconscious of that aspect, we try to fill that with other things that doesn't really equate to it. So, like I said, you see guys that do have that instinctive desire to want to have companionship, but they'll do that in quantity because they too emotionally unavailable to, you know, be with a girl and like actually open up and be vulnerable and all that. And I feel like I kind of did both. I had the you know, one side where, like I said, all of the healing, all of the reflection was happening. But then, you know, once I was like, all right, I'm going to do me.
Like you was done with it.
I'm going to do me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be out here, but, you know, not too close. You know what I'm saying? Nice. We cool. We can be cool, but I'm not really, you know what I mean? And, of course, that's really irresponsible because especially at the age that we at, like, girls ain't.
You got to consider other people's
feelings.
Saying?
And I always, and even talking to my guys, like, y'all, if y'all go watch For the Love podcast, with my boys Nico and Avery, we kind of talk about that. We kind of talk about like you got to get to a level of maturity as a man to understand like the wake that you create. Like where you see super insignificance from a woman, and not to say that women can't do this too. Not to say that every woman gets affected the same way. Not to say that every person, not putting no blanket statements. But what I'm saying is you have to be cognizant of the wake that you're creating with the women that you interact with, because once it gets to a space to where like if you really don't see them as like you can tell when you don't value somebody. You know what I'm saying? You can tell. And not to say that every situation even is like that you know have these weird new contemporary dynamics of relationships, situationships, you know, friends with benefit, all those different connections, different levels. I'm not saying they all look the same, but when you know the ones, it's like you don't have any value for this person, right? And because of that aspect, you can move on, not even think about it. But if that's not if it's not a mutual thing, which most times
not
it's
living
not,
at peace. It's not a peaceable situation because you done hurt somebody else.
right? So you move on. You know what I'm saying? You good, and they're not because they viewed you in a different capacity. So just my young men that may be watching or may come across this, man, just be mindful. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm perfect. I'm speaking from definitely a flawed place, but as a learned person, as a person that's continuing to try to become more wise as a man, like, just be mindful of, you know, how you treat everybody. Like, everybody. It doesn't matter, like, what the type of situation is, because we know, like, every girl you meet and talk to, you maybe even be interested in. Every girl's not gonna be your wife, but with that in mind, she gonna be somebody's wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I had to learn, and really still trying to learn when looking, you know, when interacting or even like viewing women. Like, that's
somebody's mother.
Possibly,
that's somebody's daughter.
Yeah,
Respect
somebody's
them.
mother, somebody's daughter. And not even to say it like that, I feel like you get to that people level, but just because of how interaction with men and women go, like, it's unavoidable certain aspects. You know what I'm saying? Because not to say that every connection is even, like, in a way that highlights the fact that one's a man and one's a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, me and Lauren, like, that's my sis. We've been working together forever. Like, she's married. I'm soon to be. We're, like, that's not the energy there. She's a person. So you can get that with anybody. Like, even you. Like, we've gotten to a place of such, I guess, healthy communication and exchange because we can sit and talk as people. Like, I'm not
Without
talking to you as a woman. So let me just, you know, I have that in mind, of course. And there's certain, you know, deviations that play to that because you're a woman, but you're also my woman. So that's a whole nother situation. But, like, approaching people as people and handling them as such is the whole point of that. But yeah, so, you know, we went through that and got to the end of that, and then that's when I was like, cool, I'm gonna just be doing me, you know, trying and basically really emotionally available. And I think God was like, really like, bruh, just sit down. Like, just sit. Cause I transitioned job wise, like I did, you know, elevate in my career, started getting more in the path of what I had going on. Cause of course when we went into 2020, you know, virtual stuff and digital media, all that stuff started to boom because people needed that production value and that, you know, upping the online exchange and interaction and communication. So
I think, would you say that you was kind of birthed into that during that time? Like, that purpose was, you pushed that out, during that time? Or was it birthed? It just hit you. That was the beginning of it.
It started to, it really,
it all happened at once.
Man, God literally, I just kind of be like, you just walk. That's all you gotta do, bro. Just take steps in front of the other and try and have the heart's intention to be walking in the right direction. And I promise you, bro, God will just drop stuff in your lap. Because literally, he was ushering me out of that self-reflective relationship. He was ushering me out of that, at the same time dropping a brand new blessing in front of me that I was moving into a new career space that was more opportunity, more money, more network, like all the things that got me to this point. Like, that was a very pivotal step. You know what I'm saying? And that happened literally a couple of months before, maybe like 2-3 months before, you know, the next part of this story. But, like, so for you, go ahead.
So finding purpose during that time, because that's the same thing, like I say, with me, going back to my loves and me having God reminding me of things that, you know, he told me before. And so actually actively throwing myself, because honestly, okay, my thing is music, my thing is singing, my thing is writing, my thing is books, publish, like songwriting. It's a lot of different stuff. So with all of these things, like, okay, do it, huh? So I did. I threw myself back into these things because these are passions. These are things that make me come alive. And during that time, that's what I was doing, and I was coming alive again. I was being rebirthed. I was being renewed, and all of my passions, it was coming to life. But then at the same time, it's like the life lessons that I needed to learn. Somehow, the way God works, He worked it in there too, and I learned the life lessons and relationships with people. Like certain people had to be cut off during that time, and that's okay with me. And they were cut off. But I still learned even in that, because there were some that hurt me. But even in that, I learned, and I was still growing. So I ended up coming out with music. Shout out, you can go. Jasmine Nicole Moving. Hey. It's on iTunes. You can go check it out. There's more music coming, actually, really soon. So yeah, I started working on that. Met up with like some other people, got some good connections going on. So then the space kind of became healthy, and it was just prospering because I was actually actively working on, like,
you was walking.
Yeah, I was walking, taking the steps to actually, yeah.
And the fog started clearing a little bit. Absolutely. So, like, what would you say was, I guess, the most? What did you realize most about yourself, like in that time frame? Like, I guess, give me one good thing. Give me one thing that you noticed or recognized and needed to improve on, and then give another of like what you feel, like where you found your power at, like, that recharged you to even get back into the space of walking. Like,
what I learned in the time was that I had become very subtle. It's a little sneaky little thing that happened, but I had subtly become like prideful, like really arrogant and really big-headed and proud, and just thinking, I got it all together, and it's not true. Life happened. Then, like you said, 2020 happened too, and that don't shut you down. Yeah, you don't have it all together, Jasmine. So humble yourself. That was a lot of it, and then take a step back. Like, yeah, because I'm always thinking ahead and dreaming, living in my head, literally. Which was a whole nother thing that I had to work through, because living in my head is a part of the problem with vulnerability with a partner and all of that stuff. So all of these things is what I was beginning to work through on my own. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that was the learning part. So where did you find your power? Like, what was it that reignited you, like pushed you?
Remembering who I was. Like, it sounds simple, but remembering my core. God, love, and music. So just remembering that. So seeking God first, that was number one. Love, and for me, love represents love, like my family and relation. What kind of love is this? Relationship type love, whatever.
Intimate part.
And there you go. That type of love.
Well, hey.
That's what.
Hold on.
Okay, plug it. Hey, you messed up.
So we got a short film out. It's called Love But Black. Okay. Now, mind you, it hasn't dropped when we're talking about it, but I'm speaking it into existence. Because when y'all watching this, Love But Black is going to be out.
Check it out.
And it's going to be featuring some of that new music that Jasmine Nicole was talking about. But go watch that, man, because it's going to give you a nice little breakdown of every type of love that they have described. It's going to name them, and it's going to illustrate them, but from a real black perspective. So that's all I'm going to give you.
It'll be out when you... It'll be out.
But yeah, go ahead. So
what brought me back? Yeah. God, love, and music. And like I said, God, and then love, that intimate relational love But that wasn't there. So I focused on my family. Like the love with my mother, the love with my friends, like ended up building really or strengthening relationships that were already there that I kind of had. I wasn't focusing as much on them because I was focused on here, on this relationship. But now with that gone, recenter and get recharged by the love that you do have. You already got the love of your family and all that. So yeah, God, love, and then music. And music, I dove heavy back into my music bag and started writing songs, started coming up with producing beats and shout out to the app Voicey, because that was a huge instrument in getting that creativity. Like, yeah, people were talking about it, but it worked amazingly for me. That yeah.
That's dope.
That's kind of how I got refocused, and yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, I kind of did the same. Like, I think the thing that I learned most about myself was two things actually. One, just to celebrate me. Like, don't like take the time to do that. Don't put and it's once again, these are simple concepts that aren't super profound, but coming to these realizations really do help. Like, I had to really understand that, like, not putting it on somebody else or waiting for somebody else and anticipating them to celebrate my strides forward, when I realized that I've made some level of accomplishment, whether it be in my career, whether it be, mentally. I was really heavily getting exposed to, like, the mental health world, like, because there's so many avenues to that, man. And if you go watch Feeling Triggered, we talk about that. We talk about a lot of aspects of mental health, especially for black artists and entrepreneurs out here, because we know a lot of us out here trying to build first generation, not having, a 9-to-5, or trying to build a different type of wealth for our families and stuff. So we talk about a lot of good. So we can also call it the plug episode, because a lot of this stuff also took form and started to seed during this growth time, during this reboot time. So, so I realized, like, Jay, celebrate yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Don't wait for other people. Like, take that moment to go, like, you're doing a good job. Like, that gives you the motivation to keep going, because you realizing that you hitting your goals regardless of if anybody else seeing them. So that definitely was one thing. The second thing I learned was just to be a little bit more emotionally self-aware, like understanding. That's really when I really adopted the griot as, like, my name. Like, for those of y'all who don't know, like, the griot is like the storyteller. Like, that's what a griot is. And when I really adopted that name, like, it made me take that perspective or that mission to tell and to interpret life through stories. I started to look at my own story. I started to look at my parents' stories, like my grandparents' stories, like, and really understanding, like, my lineage and like where, not necessarily like from a cultural standpoint, like, oh, we from this part of Africa. Like, I know my mom was doing like she did a ancestry on my grandfather, so she's been doing research and stuff, tracing us back in that capacity. Which I do got some content about that too. That might come out sometime. We will see. But more or less, it was just bringing me to a space of understanding their stories, and so by their stories, understanding what kind of, because we bear the burdens of our fathers, of our forefathers. So like the stuff in our families that was occurring that I might be dealing with that I'm not even realizing. Some of these wounds that were inflicted, unintentionally. Because I feel like what happens is, if somebody doesn't get the perspective of the big picture, of the story, and then they immediately see those wounds, then they become resenting the people who gave them those wounds. And that makes push you in more of a...
That was good. Can you say it again?
Oh yeah, let me say. I'll try to say it again.
If you can.
If you see your wounds, if you look down at your wounds and recognize your wounds before you get the bigger picture, it's like a harder process to get to a space of healing, because you're first going to look at the person who inflicted those wounds and not really focus as much on the healing process, because you're going to look at them to heal them for you. But when you go into it and you see the big picture first, and you'll see, man, they just inflicted wounds that they had. Like, when you really can see that and you really understand that, it makes you not as angry. Like, it doesn't make you as resentful. So, like, from both my paternal and my maternal side, I see the bigger picture. So I see the wounds that I've had, and I look at them not as, opportunities to be resentful towards them. I don't look at them as opportunities to, pity myself. I look at them as opportunities to change the narrative. Like,
do something different.
I want to change the narrative. Now, that is an active battle.
Because it's easier said than done.
That's an active battle. When you begin to realize what the narrative is, what they say, first impressions are a lasting impression. So to unlearn the narrative and then rewrite a narrative, that's a hard process to go through. But I feel like if you take that step to see the bigger picture, it'll give you a lot more energy, a lot more power, a lot more focus to do that. So in conjunction with that, the power came in. I now got my purpose. My purpose is to find these stories and give them in a capacity that shows us, and y'all know who us is.
Black
y'all can see my shirt. Y'all know who us is. It's to show us that in our flaws, our blessings, our areas of growth, but also purpose. I have the privilege right now to be working in doing a program in the DC Youth Rehab Center, like, and talking to them about purpose and understanding, like, yo, you might be in all of the trauma that the people in your life might have placed upon you, understanding the bigger picture that it's definitely their responsibility to heal, but it might not have been, their fault that they were injured, that they were wounded. What if you are selected for this specific time and place to go through what you have to go through to be the difference changer for your whole lineage? Like, that's what I think about when I say big picture. Like, you had to be the one who said enough is enough. You know what I mean? Enough is enough. Let's do something different, because clearly what we've been passing down hasn't been working. And that's a whole nother, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that, after the precursor. But those were the two biggest things I learned. Like, when I gained the griot as really, like, when I really captured it, because it was forming, because when we was together, I was J Real, J Real the griot, and then I kind of started shifting, because I'm like, my namesake, I want to wear my name. I want to be able to walk into every space that I'm working in and be the same person. I want to announce myself as the same person. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go into the schools that have to be one person, and then I get on the mic and be somebody else, and then I get on camera and be somebody else. Like, I want to show up as the same person and be as authentic as possible. And I feel like when I got the griot, like, it made me really focus on what my story is and telling it and making sure that the narrative is intentional, what I've been doing. So it's been working, man. Like, 2021 has been crazy. And we're going to get into that in the next episode. Y'all going to get,
but
get
you
the
gotta,
good stuff.
Before that, you got to say how that led into, the griot led into your business and how you...
I know, that's what I said. We're getting into how 2020... That's why I said we're going to get into that next episode.
Bad.
Well, and to be honest, okay, so with the griot, when I became the griot, the brand idea. So I'm not business yet, because I'll talk about business, and really your business came in and played before mine did. So me talking about how my business got established will be next episode. But for me, my brand started with the griot, right? The griots, and it grew to the griosphere. Griosphere, for those of y'all who don't know, is basically a hub for everybody to get their story told. Because I feel like everybody should be the griot of their own tribe, of their own family. You know what I'm saying? You have a story that matters, and the pieces of that story not only help you, and it's purpose. It was purpose for you to go through those things to get what you needed out of, but also to share and help somebody else get through a similar situation. So the grill sphere in all its capacities and all the various avenues that we're working is all to help people do that. So that's the overall mission for the grill sphere. And like I said, that really started to get developed through this reboot, yo. Like, cause like once again, like I said, when you shut down a computer, most of the time you do the reboot because something's going wrong. Mm-hmm. You reboot it and it start working way better than it was working the first time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember? Some of y'all ain't old enough. But for y'all who had the Nintendo 64, you just thought, take that joint, blow it out, start it over. The game working way better. I don't know if that actually helped.
No.
That hot breath and moisture going in that joint probably didn't do nothing. But in our heads, that was our reboot, and that's how it happened. But you not only was having this spiritual journey and this reinvigorating experience of getting back into your passions, but you hopped out in this game as an entrepreneur during that time too. Mm-hmm. So like, what was that about? Like, what was that about?
It was all God, child. Let me tell you. I heard I while I was still teaching, it was an idea. And then once we broke up, the idea came back. And it's like, okay, well, what is your excuse now? You have no excuse. But God, I don't know how to open a business. I don't know anything about this. It's okay. How do you eat a giant one bite at a time? I think that's how the saying goes. So that's what I did. And the song Moving was birthed out of that too. Just taking one step. Fast or slow.
Fast.
It doesn't matter. Just keep going.
Fast or slow, keep going forward.
Don't let go because you're moving. So that's what it was. So the idea came back and then it was like, okay, Lord, I really feel like you're telling me just go ahead and start this business now. Now, of course, I did my due diligence. I did my homework. I did my research and kind of researched how as best I could, how to open a business. I reached out to a couple of people who I knew and got it going and then started the business. I didn't have a technical business plan or like all this. I just knew what God told me. And I was like, all right, cool. We finna start a business. So open it. And then God provided. I ended up having a place for me to actually hold these classes, teaching all in one voice, doing training and educating people on vocal training and music production also, but that's another side that I'm kind of getting into now. But so yeah, it's opened the business and then God provided me with the students. I ended up having the programming, like I had the program, and had a place to do it. Everything went well. And yeah, I was back into my passion. So now I had something else to actually do, something to focus on. Mm-hmm. And the void kind of was a little bit filled. The void of, I don't have a boyfriend. Nah, just stay busy. And that's kind of what I did. And yeah.
But I just think it's so funny how you reignited in the business model that you brung to the table was literally the exact same thing that we did in that very first project. Mm-hmm. Like your music production, your vocal coaching, and working with kids, like was literally what we were doing at the start, at the inception of both of these, at the inception of J123. Like that's what you were doing, and full circle, God led you back to that, and you started it like you said, not knowing nothing, like not knowing anything. That is crazy. Like that is crazy. I'm gonna tell you exactly how crazy it is on the next one, on this next one. But okay, so I got one more question, and then we're going to our God message. Okay. What did you notice, or what was revealed about like the dating pool? Because a lot of people have be talking about, the dating pool.
PP.
It's riddled with a lot of urination.
It is pretty trash.
So from a woman's perspective, when you in your singlehood, like how did you view what is the dating scene? What did you notice?
Yeah, it was pretty trash. What was missing for me?
That's two questions. So what was it like, and then what was missing?
It was like garbage.
She talking about y'all, fellas.
Pretty much. Why? Because I don't know. I'm not a surface type chick. Like, and dude, it was real shallow, and yeah, so I wasn't interested. Just wasn't interested. And then what was the second one?
Like, what was missing?
Oh, what was missing? Depth, and integrity. Like, okay, we talking. Be truthful. Like, if we're gonna talk, let's talk. If you're gonna talk to other people, why are we talking? Sure, fine. Tell me, be upfront. Like, have some integrity, and that was lacking. So yeah, yeah, it wasn't fun. No, and I wasn't even thrilled about getting back. I wasn't at all thrilled about getting back in the dating pool. So yeah, God knew, brought you back around. Yeah.
So for one, as a good fisher of men, if you have for men in the dating world, if you have at least the slightest bit of like poise, manners, just genuine human.
Like, it's not even a lot that we asking for. Like,
genuine, like,
treat me like a good person.
Human compassion, bro. Like, you will go so far in this game right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. And on one hand, that's the answer to the question of what was dating like. Easy, like. And not to say
the standard.
Not to say, and because I don't go into situations like, it's just certain rules that I don't break in the initial that just automatic. Like, if you just keep these simple rules in your head, like, you'll go so much further. Hey, bro, talk about something else other than sex. Like, if you can say
or yourself,
if you can say something, you
ask her some questions,
bro. Don't bring up sex. That is probably like the biggest turn on for most girls. Like, if you don't
turn off.
No, I'm saying it's a turn on if you don't talk about sex.
Like, yes.
If you don't say nothing about it, like, act like talk to them as a person, which sounds so asinine, but if you can talk to a girl and talk to a woman as a person first, show her that you respect her as a person first, because the as she said, the dating pool so trash, bro, you'll rise to the top automatically. Now, that has its bad side, too, because it's almost as if dating for a guy that does have those qualities is difficult in and of itself, because the standard is set so low. If most girls, when they see that, they latch to that. No. No, it's not gaming, because if you do it, it's not gaming if it's real. Like, yeah. I don't have to like you. I don't have to be infatuated or love you to treat you like a human being with manners and respect. Like, that's not hard to do. So because of that, and because that the threshold is so low, dudes that can do that fall into situations where girls be starting to think it way more than it is. Not to say every girl, this is not a blanket statement, this is merely speaking from experience. So that was one thing that I really noticed that was kind of like, it was a blessing and a curse, because it's like, you can get in, but it's really hard to get out because they see that you have some level of value that niggas is not giving out. So that's the first part. But then the second part is almost a hurt, because understanding like, yo, we out here being trash individuals, bro. Like, some of the stories that I've heard about other interactions with dudes makes me sick. Like, and not to say by any means but that I'm been a perfect dude. I've always been on top of not saying that, but like, when I hear, like, it makes me like so compassionate for the whole party, because on the side of the women, like, I'm super passionate and sympathetic to the fact that y'all be having to go through some of the stuff that y'all gotta go through. Like, it's terrible. But then on the other hand, being a man myself, I understand where that movement comes from. Like it's hurt places that these dudes is moving from too. Mm-hmm. So it's like nobody's healthy. Nobody's advantageous in this because
everybody need to take a reboot.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I say like in the same way you talk about like in the drug game, like the dealers and the users are both abusers. They're being abused. Like both of them. Nobody's winning. One may look like it's more advantageous, but depending on the perspective. For some people, they like the drug dealers more advantageous because they're making money. On the other hand, the drug addicts are getting high and escaping whatever's happening. So it's a different perspective, but you realize both of them are in really bad positions. That's the whole bottom line. So that's how I look at the dating game, and that's a little bit why, a large part of why we decided to do this podcast, just to kind of, maybe hopefully instill some hope back in it. Understanding that it don't gotta be perfect. Like we've gone through a bunch of stuff. Like we've gone through more stuff. Yeah, and as things go, of course we couldn't fit all of them into these 5 episodes, every story, every interaction. But as we get into certain topics in the next chapter, in the next season, we'll continue to break down stuff and maybe, because the structure's going to pretty much be the same. So we're going to have a story time. We're going to talk about a particular situation or something, whether it be with us, whether it be whatever in life, and all of that is going to keep moving. But like I said, that's the 2 things I learned, man. Like, dating is easy. Integrity in dating is hard, especially for guys who can get girls or get women or, are attractive to women, not just physically, but like their personality.
Integrity could be hard for some women too.
I mean, for sure. Because like I said, everybody coming from a hurt place, man. Everybody's so scared to trust, so scared to open. Most dudes, they're like,
that's
I ain't
really
looking
the
for
main
nothing.
thing. Like everybody just shielded.
That's all that means, bro.
We call ourselves dating, trying to want love, but at the same time, I don't want to give it in order to get it. How that work?
And people don't understand, man. Love is literally giving somebody the keys to your heart and having the faith that they not gonna crash that joint into a guardrail. Like that is what you do in love. If you doing anything else, if you're just protecting yourself. If you're like, I'm gonna put the guard up, and not to say that, you're not to say that you aren't plausible in that. Not to say that you don't have a right based off of the experiences that you've gone through, both men and women, to guard your heart. But just know, if you want to love and be loved, that can't be a thing. Because when your heart is guarded, you cannot connect. Simple as that. So the person that you love should show you that they can protect your heart. Not fill your pockets. Not feed and clothe you and put you in designer stuff. Not be your step stool that you can just boss around and she gonna do whatever you want to do. Not just cause she gonna cook for you and take care of your kids and clean your house. None of these have to do with love. None of that. That is construct. That is cultural construct. Your house can look however your house needs to look for it to be the success and purpose for your relationship. We're going to talk about purpose in our next episode, but just know all that other stuff, man, like, and I ain't about to stand on either side, because I was about to go Kevin Samuels for like a little second and a half, right. But then I was about to go like exact opposite of him and just get on the dudes. Like, I'm not doing either of that. Just know, man, it's like love is not a game. Like, it's not easy. It's not going to just come. It's not going to be all smiles and Hallmark cards. It's not for the weak.
But it's so beneficial.
It's beneficial, and we really gonna talk about that next. Like, we gonna get into the next episode. So make sure y'all tune back in for the final episode.
Stay with us. Stick with us.
Precursor.
If you haven't already, subscribe.
All right.
Click the notification button. Stay tuned.
So before we get out of here, man, let's get into this God message.
Come on.
I got another good one.
What you got for us?
I got another good one.
What you got for us?
This one coming from Isaiah 43.
Yeah?
and 2.
Read.
Okay? It says, when you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you.
I will be with you. I will be with you. I will be with you if you will only trust me. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I like it. Yeah.
That's all you gotta do, because
Yeah.
he gonna be there.
Yeah.
So go through the waters, go through the hard times, go through the trials.
Man. That's like love is a battle. Like it's never gonna be true love. True love, and it's funny because I watched this sermon today. I was just in the space. Sometimes occasionally I just watch. So I was watching this sermon today. Torre Roberts.
Shout out
to the shout out to Torre and Miss Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts and Pastor T.D. Jakes. Shout out to the Potter House.
There we go.
They're friends of the pod.
They're friends of the pod.
They're friends of the pod. But yeah, he was basically talking about like when you are truly in a relationship, like that intimate partner that, what the relationship that builds marriages, like that type of relationship, that type of connection, like it's it's inevitable. Like he said the tension is God ordained. Like this particular relationship has the responsibility, has the purpose of changing you into the person that God wants you to be. So in order to do that, in order for it to work, you have to become.
You gotta have that tension in order for you to become. Yes.
In order to become. And if you think about, all of the various colloquials and analogies and metaphors for, pressure creating something great, whether it be diamonds, whether it be, he even gave a cool situation talking about the stones that David had. It's like, literally, they say he had 5 smooth stones, but what if figuratively those stones were just representing all the trials and all the tension in his life prior to having to go fight Goliath that, because he said he'd been in the fields fighting lions and tigers and bears. So what if it wasn't actually he picked up 5 smooth stones, but those stones became smooth over time from the tension that he had to endure. So it's like, expect to endure. Expect to go through stuff. And I feel like that's probably the biggest aspect of our last relationship that we didn't have, because we are both building from blank slates in terms of like what a healthy love looks like. We're building that from a blank space. So because we're doing so, not having that image, not having that, example to work from, we kind of figured it out. And because it got to a place where it felt like we were enduring more than we could bear, and we said, like, I can't take this no more, I give up. But in actuality, it was just because we weren't becoming the people that we were supposed to be becoming that would be able to have the capacity to endure that. So that's why I picked that verse, because I'm like, it says, like, regardless, like, you're going to go through stuff, but just know that God's there.
And you won't be burnt up.
And it's not even from a space of he's going to be, it's not even from the space that he's going to fight the battle for you. He is, but that doesn't say that you're not going to go through that battle.
He'll keep you in it.
He's going to keep you in it, and he's going to build you to a capacity that you'll be able to endure whatever is happening. So though you're going to go through deep waters, guess what? I'm about to teach you how to swim. Though you're going to be going through rivers that's going, be real rushing rivers, rapids, I'm going to make you strong and anchored enough that you're not going to get carried away by this current. I'm going to walk, you're going to have to go through this fire, but I'm going to make you flame retardant so that you're not going to burn up. Like, So in love and relationship, I feel like that was like a really a teaching thing, and it's gonna come into play. This lesson is gonna come into play in the next episode. But until then,
You ass, like,
but until
then, keep love alive and keep your light shining, dog. That's how it go.
Okay,
All right,
keep. Go ahead. You got it. Keep. Go ahead.
Come on, keep love alive and keep.
Yep.
And that light shine said to keep love alive and keep.
Yep.
Your light shining, keep love alive.
Yes.
Guys.
Yes.
See y'all next time. Okay.
You know what I mean? One
Pull
more.
up
Come
again.
back. All right.
We'll be here.
Last one.